Okay.
All right, start any old time.
Any old time.
Okay, I guess we're starting. All right, I'm Rick Steele from Vancouver, here to talk today about fire behavior with you guys. Some of you guys have been here before, so sorry you have to sit through it multiple times, but I'm here today to talk to you about fire and tactics and how you should go about things on a fire scene. And basically everything I'm going to talk to you about today is from my viewpoint, from being on the fire department for 29 years. And you know, some of the things I'm going to say today you guys might agree with, some of the things that I say today you might not agree with, because everybody's experience is different. Okay, we've all been to attic fires, we've all been to room of contents fires, we've all been to basement fires, and your experiences may be different than mine. Okay, so I'm gonna talk through my lens, so you guys have to, you know, just understand that it's from my lens. So take what I'm talking about. If you find some nuggets to work with, that's great. If I say some things you don't agree with, that's fine too, because in the end, I'm from Vancouver, you guys are District 6, and you guys are gonna do it your way if you want. So, but I think it's important to understand that, and I talk to this a lot with the new people that we hire at our department, because I teach this class every time we do our recruit academy. I teach this class to them, and I think when you come into this job, a lot of people come in, they're very maybe book smart on the job that we do. The problem with book smarts in firefighting is that you can be as book smart as you want, but until you experience the things that we're going to talk about today, there's no way you can truly learn that until you've been in a burning building. Okay, and it's not just been in a burning building once or twice. It's, you know, you have to be in a burning building multiple times to understand number one, how do buildings react to fire, but also what does smoke do, what does fire do, and what do we do to deal with those things. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. I think it's a big part of a senior firefighter's job is to take what they've learned and pass it on to other people, because that's always the biggest crime in firefighting, is when a guy retires after 30 years, he takes all that experience with him. It's like you wish you could pull everything that guy saw and learned out of his head and then pass it on to somebody else, but it's hard to do that, and sometimes guys really just don't like to talk about what they've learned. Some of the guys, that they'll try to talk to you, but you don't want to listen to what they learned. So, you know, we'll go from there. All right. So when we talk about buildings on fire, one of the first things, the concept that you have to get is that you have to look at a building as if it's a box. Okay, and you know, I'm not going to go into fire triangle, fire tetrahedron, and you know, all the really basic stuff about how fires burn, because I think we all know that. But when we think about a fire that starts inside of a box, inside of a building, it's important to know what that fire and smoke are doing within the building. So when a fire starts, smoke rises to the ceiling and then it spreads out inside the box. What is that called? What causes fire and smoke flame spread? Excuse me? Convection. What was that from 63?
Stratification.
Okay. It's a really easy term. It's called mushrooming. Okay. This process of smoke rising to the ceiling and spreading out along the ceiling, that's called mushrooming. All right. And as the smoke spreads out, it's going to reach an obstacle. And when it reaches an obstacle, what's it do? It banks back down. okay? And it's gonna continue to bank down until it fills the whole compartment, all right? And based on how much oxygen is in here, it's gonna burn fiercely until the oxygen goes away, okay? The oxygen goes away, then the fire basically puts itself out and didn't even need the fire department to get there. Okay, so knowing if we need, when we arrive, we need to make a decision very quickly. Is the box open or is it closed? Okay, because that's everything that goes on in this box is what's very important to us. Okay, if we show up at a fire and we see a closed box, and how do you tell if the box is open or closed? Anybody tell me?
Well, if there's not a whole lot of smoke or no flame coming out of it, you have to assume that it's pretty well closed.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, it hasn't broke through, no windows have been affected yet. You're not seeing any flame or smoke pouring out of any particular opening.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like we get a lot of closed ones in room and contents fires
Yeah.
that don't get quite hot enough they burn up the oxygen.
Yeah, room and contents fires, I mean, this is what we have to get very good at, is looking at a box and telling if it's open or closed or not. And everybody, all the answers that you guys gave are good ones. So we'll look at some videos and some photos, and we'll talk about this more. But usually, if you're 2 blocks away, and you see a lot of black smoke, okay, a lot of black smoke, what do you think? Is that box open or closed?
Open.
Yeah, if you see a lot of big header of black smoke, it's vented or it's open somewhere. The smoke's coming out, yeah.
Okay. How you doing? How about if you pull up at a fire and you see flames blowing out of every window
That's open.
and there's no smoke?
Well, if there's flames coming out, that's definitely open.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I'm trying to get some discussion here, and usually a box, we call it closed when you see a heavy smoke condition.
So it's unburnt.
Okay. And what's a heavy smoke indication? A smoke condition indicate? Unclean burning. Okay. So just because you show up at a building and there's 3 or 4 windows open and it's pumping out heavy black smoke, that doesn't mean that box is open. Because we'll talk about ventilation, and basically when we talk about ventilation is, and I'm a terrible speller, so guys don't laugh. Adequate. Is that how you spell adequate?
Good.
I'm doing all right. Hey, I'm doing all right. So, is the ventilation adequate or not adequate?
So inadequate ventilation creates a closed box.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So when we go to a building, we try to make this decision: is the box open or closed? And if it's closed, that's our first red flag at a fire. I'm at a closed box fire. Then I need to ask myself, what phase of fire is it in? Okay. These are the 2 biggest questions you need to ask yourself on arrival at a structure fire. Is the box open or closed? And what phase of fire are we in? Incipient, free burning, or decay? Okay. The answer to these 2 questions drives everything that you do on the fire scene. And you can tell this from the windshield. You're not even out of the rig yet. Is the box open or closed? And what phase of fire am I in? Okay. If my answer is it's a closed box and I'm in the incipient phase, this is a dangerous fire, and we need to recognize that. Because we never ever crawl into a closed box. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that firefighters make. And really that's how firefighters get killed. Is they're inside of a closed box without ventilation. That's another huge red flag. And how many times have you guys seen that in Clark County? It happens in Vancouver all the time. I know it happens at District 6. It happens at Clark County Fire and Rescue. It happens at District 3. Okay? How many times you open up that front door and you got black smoke to the floor? Huh? Who in this room has crawled into those type of conditions? Everybody raise their hand. Okay? You're crawling into a closed box. All right, and when I got hired in Vancouver in 1984, we didn't have truck companies. And so we crawled into closed boxes all the time. And you know, we didn't wear hoods back then. When I first started, we wore day boots. And so you get in there and you're in there about 20, 30 feet and you start going, ooh, ooh, ow, ow.
Can't get out of the closed box.
Okay, ooh, ooh, ow, ow. I wonder why it's hot. Well, the old guy said, well, son, the building's on fire. Oh, okay, good. All right, I understand that. But we did this all the time. And, you know, you could always tell when guys had been to a fire because they had the little burns on their cheeks right outside their face mask, or the bubbles on their ears, you know. But that was also a good indicator too, is you were in and it was too hot and you had to get out. Okay, it was a good indicator. All right. But also, the fact that we even crawled into this is bad news. It's bad news, and it's especially bad news today. What's changed since 1984 to now?
The stuff that's in the houses that burns.
Yes.
I think
The
we've
stuff
changed.
that's in the houses that burns.
I think we've changed a lot.
We've
Just
changed.
the way we think.
And the things that, you know, we'll talk today about, you know, the new UL study that comes out that talks about legacy fires versus modern fires. Have you guys looked at any of those studies? Okay. You know, a legacy era building is what they say from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Okay, you know, the furniture in there was made out of solid wood, cotton. Okay? I mean, that's just how furniture was made back then. Today, modern buildings are full of what?
Plastic, everything.
Well, they're full of that. The furniture's made out of plastic, synthetic material. If there is any wood in it, it's basically plywood or fiberboard. I mean, this legacy versus modern era. The legacy, the test that they did, it took this room with this furnishing 29 and a half minutes to flash over. Today's era, it takes 3.5 minutes to flash over. Is that a problem?
That's a substantial
Big.
change.
And the big problem that we have is that we still employ tactics today that were designed in this era. Okay? So we're using tactics from the legacy era on buildings in the modern era. And when you look at these time periods, it's a critical error. It is a critical error. You could get away with this crawling into black smoke to the floor here because you knew the fire wasn't going to flash over until well after your arrival. Now when we arrive, if the fire hasn't flashed over already, it is now entered into what's called a ventilation controlled state. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second here. So, is the box open or closed? Closed box. Closed box. That needs to be the first red flag that comes up. What phase of fire am I in? Incipient phase. Oh shit. Okay, closed box, incipient phase. What happens right at the end of incipient phase before free burning? Flashover. You need to understand where flashover happens. So if I'm in that incipient phase fire in a closed box, am I in a bad spot? The clock's ticking. Okay? So, when I ask myself these questions, I get an answer. If the box is closed, I need to leave it closed. Okay? The first mistake people make all the time and you guys have seen it at 1,000 fires yourself, as guys come up and they open the front door and, hey, what's going on here? Okay? They just open the box. And fire and smoke are predictable. You guys need to understand that. When you make an opening, what happens? Fire comes there.
Yeah, exhaustion.
It's easy. Fire and smoke are very predictable. It always reacts to something that you choose to do. But time and again, we do things and then we're surprised that, oh shit, why'd that happen? Well, because it's science. You know, it's science. It happens that way. Every time it happens that way. So we talked about mushrooming inside of a box. Why do we ventilate? We ventilate to stop mushrooming. Okay? And if you're good at your job, you need to understand that you're very good at this. Fire and smoke manipulation. That's when you're good at this job, you realize that I'm going to tell the fire and smoke where to go, and I'm going to choose what it does. Okay? I'm going to make a hole, and I'm going to make the fire and smoke go there. Okay? But too many times on fires, we let the smoke and fire choose where it wants to go. And that's not always a good thing. Okay? So you got to understand this. That's our business. That's what it's all about. Is making the smoke and fire do what we want it to do. So if I want this mushrooming to stop, there's several different ways I can do it. I can cut a hole in the roof. Then where's all the fire and smoke go?
Oh,
Goes there. Okay. You see? I'm trying to make the mushrooming stop. I'm making a hole, and I'm directing that fire and smoke to go where I want it to go. Or I set a fan in the door, and I pick a window on the other side and say, okay, I want the fire and smoke to go there. And again, it stops all this mushrooming. It directs the fire and smoke to go there. Okay? These are, this is a decision that I've made. This is how I'm going to do that. This is how I'm going to make the smoke and fire go where I want it to go. Conscious effort. Conscious decision. All right. So from the windshield, I've determined I got a closed box and I'm in the incipient phase. Now, you know, being a football guy, football guys love to go to the board. Okay, that's what I'm famous for this at Vancouver. I'll sit down and I'll talk about fire behavior, but as soon as the chair moves and I start to get up, they say, oh, he's going to the board, he's going to the board, he's going to the board. Okay, and it just happened yesterday on Station 1. I was sitting down, I was calm, I was drinking some coffee, and somebody asked a question. I said, well, gee, why does this happen? I shoved back the chair, oh, he's going to the board, he's going to the board. So, when football coaches go to the board, they do this. They start writing X's and O's. Okay? And so I always start every talk by doing that. Guys start laughing. I told a story yesterday about my old football coach. His name was Willie Thompson. And he went to the board, and we were trying to game plan.
River, yeah.
Yeah, he was at River. He was my football coach at Bay years ago, and then I coached with him at Bay.
Yeah.
And so we were in a coaches meeting, and we're trying to decide how we're going to stop some team. So he's up there, and this was back to, a lot of things I say date myself. It was a blackboard with chalk. Okay, so Willie would always start up there, and he'd lean on the board like this, and he's going, oh, how are we going to stop these guys?
Sounds like Dahlstrom.
So he would go up and he would start with this. Oh. So then no, we're not going to do that. And he'd erase with his hand, so he'd get chalk on there. Then he'd step back and then he'd do this again. Oh, how are we going to stop these guys? Yeah, I know. Okay, all right, how are we going to stop these guys? And finally, there was a coach, his name's Bruce Courtway, and Bruce Courtway played for Willie at Bay too. And he finally said, "God damn it, Willie, stop doing that." Because every time he'd step away from the board, he'd go like this. There's chalk all over his face, all over his clothes. And Bruce would say, "Damn it, Willie, every play starts with an X. Just leave it up there. Just leave it up there." So here I am. I'm at the board, so but I'll try not to draw too many X's and O's. So here's our building. The first thing, after you've asked yourself those first two questions, box open or closed, what phase of fire am I in? The next thing that you have to do is call the play. And again, I know, this sounds like a football talk. I gotta call the play. And how do I call the play? And what is the play? Everything starts with a 360. I have to walk around the building and gather information. I have to. There's no choice. It's not on this one I'm going to do a 360, on this one I'm not. You have to. And I was just at the Redmond Safety Symposium in Denver last month, and there was a whole class on just talking about the 360 and the fact that you have to do it. If you're at a fire and nobody's done a 360, that's another huge red flag. Okay? So when I do a 360, what am I looking for? What am I doing?
How many levels?
How many levels?
Open or closed?
Open or closed?
Seeing if you can see where the fire might be located at.
Where's the fire located at?
Safety hazards?
Safety hazards, basement, gas, meth lab. You're gathering information. Okay? It all comes down to locate, confine, extinguish. That's what our job is. All right? The big thing that I do when I read the building, that's what's called reading the building, is I read windows. What do windows tell me?
Condition of fire.
Type of smoke that's against it.
Locate.
Locate.
Whether they're bulging or.
I do a 360 and I got one black window. What kind of fire do I have? Room and contents. Okay? I walk around the building, I got 5 black windows. What do I have?
Structure.
I have a structure fire. Okay? I walk around the building, every window's clear. But there's smoke showing from the attic. What kind of fire do I have?
Attic fire.
I got an attic fire. Okay? Walk around the building. I got a couple of black windows, but then I see basement windows. Oh, okay. So I see smoke coming from basement windows. And the basement windows are more black than the windows on the first floor. I got a basement fire. Or I walk around, I do my 360, and basically the structure is fully involved. Okay? When I say call the play, these are the plays. This is my playbook right here. Okay? So I'm walking around the 360, I'm reading windows. Reading the windows tells me right away what kind of fire I have. Okay? I go around the back. What's the first thing I look at on the back of the building, on the roof? Vents. Vents are always on the back side, Charlie side on the roofs. Okay? I read the vents. What are the vents telling me? Do I have fire in the attic? Okay? So read windows, read vents, sight the roof, look for utilities, all those things that we talked about. But reading those attic vents and reading windows are probably some of the most important things that you can do on that 360. Because when I start and I get back here, guess what I'm going to say on the radio? I'm going to call the play. Okay? So here's my playbook. Right there. Now my playbook, also there's my vent options that go with that. Positive pressure, vertical, horizontal, and hydraulic. Okay? So, based on what play I call, is going to tell me how I'm going to vent it. Okay? Now, this is the biggest problem that fire departments have in Clark County, is they call a play and then they vent it wrong. It happens all the time. It happens in District 6, it happens in Vancouver, it happens in Camas, it happens everywhere. And the reason it happens is because we've gotten too far away. We're too worried about spec ops, we're too worried about hazmat and tech rescue and EMS and, you know, car seats and, I mean, you guys see it, okay? I mean, we've gotten too far away from our base knowledge of our job. And that's how do we manipulate fire and smoke? Because we're too busy doing our stuff. Okay? In IFSTA, when we talking about fire behavior, it's 1 hour. When you teach people out of IFSTA, you talk about fire behavior, it takes 1 hour. Fire officer 1, how much curriculum is spent on fire behavior? 0. Fire officer 2,
Less than that.
how much time is spent on fire behavior? 0. So you send somebody through all of that training, they get 1 hour of fire behavior. You guys know that?
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And unless District 6 has a comprehensive class on fire behavior, do you guys have that?
Right here.
Thank you, by the way.
Guess what? Vancouver doesn't either. I mean, you guys aren't any different than us. Camas doesn't have it. Clark County Fire and Rescue doesn't have it. How are you guys supposed to know this stuff?
School of Hard Knocks.
School of Hard Knocks. And believe me, dude, I've got a doctorate in that school. The School of Hard Knocks, I've got a doctorate. Okay? So the only reason I'm here teaching this class to you guys is, like I said, because I've been here for 29 years and I learned that through that School of Hard Knocks what to do and what not to do. Okay? One thing that I got to do that most of you in this room did not get to do was the West 26th Street extension in Vancouver. Does anybody know what that was?
Yeah, we do. We lived on it for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Rick and I
Okay.
had a great time.
I lived in it for a year. And that was basically when they extended Mill Plain through downtown Vancouver to make it 4-lane road. They had to take out hundreds of buildings. And it was single-story houses, it was balloon frame houses, it was duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, eightplexes, gigantic apartment buildings. And for a whole year, every other shift I came to work, the battalion chief said, "We're burning a house. Let's go." Awesome. You know, I was young at the time, liked fighting fire. And so we'd go there, you know, it was back in the days, I mean, we're throwing gigantic pallets, hay, we might even use gasoline. There was all kinds of stuff that we did. And we set these places on fire and said, hey guys, let's try this time. And set the building on fire and just get bodies come rolling out going, ooh, ow, ow, that didn't work. Okay, so next shift, all right, kind of the same house, all right, let's try it this way. Let's fight fire this way. Then we go, oh, hey, that worked. All right, let's try that again. Summer house down the block. And so we went through these things of what worked and what didn't work. We tried this ventilation, that ventilation, this hose line, that hose line, this tip, that tip. And we learned a ton. I really do feel that I got 10 years worth of firefighting experience in a year. And it was just from burning frickin' buildings. Constantly.
Well,
Yeah. And for a young firefighter, it was awesome because I learned a lot. I really did. So I got to do this through experience, through going through that extension. I learned a lot. So it helped me understand about when I call the play, When I classify the fire in one of these areas, I know what to do here. Okay? So, walk around the building, do your 360, call the play. One black window, I get to the front and I say, engine one's on scene, I have a room and contents fire. What's that tell the truck? Don't grab your ladders, don't grab your saws. Bring your fan. Because we do room and contents, we do positive pressure ventilation. Okay? And also, when I learned about positive pressure ventilation a half a gazillion years ago, I learned that you have a door and you have windows. And when you put a fan in a door, what are you trying to make in here? Plus signs. And what's on the outside of the building?
Negative.
Minus signs. Okay? Does anybody remember that class? Okay? Then why in the hell did we forget about the plus signs and the minus signs? Okay? Positive pressure is one entrance, one exit. Air goes in, smoke and fire go out. Fire and smoke manipulation. I'm making the fire and smoke go where I want it to go. Okay? But then this thing happened. 4 guys die in a fire in Seattle, and it makes somebody famous. Who? It makes Stu Rose famous. So Stu Rose gets on his bandwagon and goes, he comes in and says, we're going to put a fan in everything. And about 4 Vancouver battalion chiefs, they threw that out and they went, ha! They bit hard on that, the fan on everything.
Everybody bit hard.
Everybody bit
Nobody
hard on
goes
it.
to the roof anymore.
Nobody goes to the roof anymore, exactly. Okay? The problem is that when all these windows are open,
You're just feeding the fire. It doesn't work.
are you making plus signs? You're not positively pressuring the building. What are you doing to the fire?
Give it more oxygen.
Giving it more of what it wants. And it gets to choose where it goes. There is no manipulation here. It is turn the fan in, and I talked about this yesterday. Who's ever seen the really old Moby Dick movie? So, see, only the old guys. Nobody else wanted to. There's a guy on the ship. He doesn't ever say anything, but he's got these tattoos on his face and beads. Do you remember what that guy's name was?
Ahab.
Pickwick.
That's it.
You've never seen it? You knew
Okay,
that?
nope.
Pulls that right
But
out.
what Pickwick has was this little cup, and what was it full of?
Kool-Aid.
It was
Oh,
full
wrong
of
guy.
bones and rocks and, stuff, and he would foretell the future with this. That's all this guy did in this whole movie. He sits there and he shakes his thing, and he dumps his stuff out. Picks them up, puts them back in there, shakes it, throws it out. Okay, picks it up, puts them in there, and then he dumps them out and he goes, based on how these bones and rocks laid out, he knew they were dead. The big whale was going to kill them. But it was based on how the rocks and the bones laid out. I don't know how he did it, but that's what guys have been doing with positive pressure ventilation, or ventilation as a whole. You see Pickwick out in the front yard shaking his bones, he throws them out. Oh, yeah, I'm going to use PPP on this fire. Okay, next fire he goes to, he shakes the bones, rolls them out. I'm going to go vertical on this one. It's the same fire. Okay? In modern days, we call it pulling it out of here and going, oh. Okay? One entrance, one exit. If you have anything other than that, all you're doing is feeding the fire. And we'll see some videos today where it gets people hurt. It really does. It gets people hurt. Does a fan ever get turned into a building with people already inside it? Never.
Say that again.
Say it again. never, ever turn a fan into a building with people already inside it. And it happens in Vancouver, it happens in District 6, it happens in Clark County Fire and Rescue, it happens at Camas. We do it all the time. And 90% of the time, nothing bad happens. But I'm waiting for the day where we light somebody up.
Rick, how many times did you say, turn that damn fan off now?
Yeah.
You had that quite a few times.
Yeah. So, we never do that. Okay? I see that I have a structure fire. I'm beyond this. And you gotta understand, ventilation goes in that order. So PPV's out because I got a structure fire because I can't control it. So I have to go vertical. Okay? The truck company needs to get on the roof and they need to give the incident commander a report. Roof's good to go. If you want a hole, we can cut it. Or they say, roof's not good, we can't cut it. So if they give you that report, where do you go? Horizontal. Okay? And how do you horizontally vent a building? Just start taking out windows. Okay? Because when you ventilate, what are you trying to do to the fire?
Get the smoke and gas to escape.
You're trying to transition it from incipient to free burning. You guys understand that? Because what are we trying to do with the smoke? We're trying to make the smoke go away.
Yeah.
All right? And like I said, when you see a fire that's in the free burning phase, it's lots of fire, but very little smoke. So remember what I said? You pull up from the windshield, is the box open or closed? Oh shit, it's open. Because I see lots of fire and I don't see very much smoke. From the windshield, do I even have to go here? I'm right here. Do I have to vent that fire? No, it's already vented. Okay? Do you guys see how you get to the point of knowing, calling the play, and this is how my vent happens? Okay? Does this stuff make sense?
Yeah.
Okay? And I really don't think that I'm telling you guys something that you don't know. I really don't. I mean, I don't see very many newbies in here. I think I'm telling you guys stuff that you already know, but maybe you guys just haven't used the right order or understood quite what's going on when you arrive and what I should do, what's my next step. Okay? Take the Joe Blue beads out of it. Make a conscious decision on what kind of fire I have. This is the vent that's indicated, and this is what I'm going to do. Okay? It really does involve a lot of just take a deep breath and think about what your problem is. Okay? I think we have to hustle at fires, but at some point the person that's in charge, while everybody's hustling, takes that deep breath and says, okay guys, this is what we're going to do. This is the play that's just been called, and now this is what we're going to do. If I say structure fire, what has that just told the truck that we're going to do? We're going to vertical vent. There shouldn't even be a fan on the block. Okay? Shouldn't even be a fan on the block. All right? If I'm a nozzleman, and I just heard we're at a room and contents fire, and I'm at the front door, I've got my face piece on, I'm getting ready to click into my air, and my officer's telling me, let's go, and there's no fan. Is that a red flag? Yes. Should turn around and say, yo, what's the vent plan, dude? Okay? I'm at a room of contents fire, I just opened the front door, I got black smoke to the floor. What are we doing here? Too many times we crawl into that, you get about 40 feet in and somebody says, yeah, turn that fan in. The UL study says, take the back window out, open the door, turn the fan in, and then the UL study says, how long do you wait?
1 minute?
60 to 90 seconds. We're back, it is. We're back to that word again. The one that was hard for me to spell. What are you waiting for? You're waiting to see if the ventilation is adequate. If you turn that fan in and the smoke doesn't go anywhere, what's the problem?
Somewhere else.
Your exit's not big enough. Your ventilation is not adequate. Close the door, figure out something else to do. Open the door, turn the fan in, smoke goes away. Ventilation adequate? Yeah, let's go fight the fire. Yeah.
Some people may have confused the word simultaneous with coordinated. I think the word coordinated means simultaneous.
Coordinated means 60 to 90 seconds.
Make sure you say that back in 5 seconds.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a big difference between simultaneous and coordinated. Okay, coordinated fire attack. That is what we do on every fire. Every fire is attacked with coordinated fire attack in mind. Okay? Got to understand that. That's what we're not very good at. Coordinated fire attack means people have to talk. And if we're doing positive pressure A to C, then you hear somebody on the radio say, "This is truck 5B, we're on the Charlie side, taking the window, copy. Engine 1's at the door, we're ready to go with the hose line, go ahead and take the window out." Boom, window goes out, the fan gets turned in, Engine 1 gets on the radio, says, "Hey, ventilation's adequate, attacking the fire." You go and put the fire out. You guys sound like that on the radio?
All the time.
Sure.
All right, let's go to the next step. Truck 5B, it's on the roof, roof's good, command if you want a hole, we got it. Command copies, go ahead and cut the hole, and don't louver it yet. Engine 1, are you ready to go at the front door? Engine 1's ready to go at the front door. Okay, truck 5B, go ahead, cut that roof, louver it, and then punch the ceiling. Everybody's at the front door ready to go. That's what you should be hearing. And I'm not standing in front of you guys saying this is what you should be hearing at District 6 fires. That's what you should be hearing at Vancouver fires too, when you don't hear it. But we're kind of, we've had to come to Jesus revival in Vancouver. Okay, we're turning the corner. When we first got trucks in 1994, we were awesome. We had a bunch of guys on the truck that were, your typical truckies, ape looking, when they sit at the dinner table, they eat, but they always have an arm like this. But you loved those guys because they made your job easier. And you went to fires, and what that B team do? That B team was on the roof right frickin' now. And they were radioing information back to command. It says, "Hey, roof's good. If you want a hole, we can cut it." And they were getting on the roof while this guy was doing his 360. So when he got back and called the play, truck 5B's on the roof, radio and command, we can cut a hole if you want it. Truck 5B, this is command, we got a room of contents fire, get off the roof. Okay, they come down. Or truck 5B, structure fire, go ahead and cut, get ready to louver, we're getting hose lines in place, ready to go.
So for the way we do business, you gotta think that the truck for us is a long ways out. Maybe most times they're last due. We can't utilize them necessarily for that work. And so that's why it's important for us to make sure we got 4 engines at least coming, because there's gonna be engine companies doing truck work. Another point that I wanted to ask you about is vertical ventilation on a multi-story occupancy and the kind of dangers of having cookie cutter. This is what you do for every situation.
Yeah.
You have a single story, that's great. But you have a multi-story, it's a different story. You gotta think about where you're directing that smoke and fire gases. So just
Yeah, if you've got a 2-story building.
Sorry, make sure you.
Yeah, if you got a 2-story building with a fire on the ground floor, don't be in a hurry to cut the roof, because where are you sending that fire and smoke?
Upstairs.
You're sending it upstairs. Okay, now if you choose to do that, you do it with a very conscious thought process of, I'm moving that fire from the ground floor through to the roof. So I'm gonna fry the second floor with it. Now, is horizontal ventilation bad? No. So if you don't want to use PPV, but you got a good working apartment fire on the ground floor with 3 or 4 windows, belching black smoke, just take some more windows out, give it more oxygen, transition it into the free burning phase, and then go and put the fire out. That's horizontal ventilation is just as effective as vertical. It really is. And if you guys understand that when you ventilate, all we're trying to do is get rid of the smoke. I'm just trying to transition the fire. Now, can you transition to fire with a fan? Yeah, but it's a very conscious effort. I'm going to put the fan in the door, I'm going to take all the windows out, and I'm going to let the thing light up.
There's a difference, I'm asking, there's a difference in if you have occupants than if you don't have occupants?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. If you have occupant, if you know you have occupants, the one thing that with the legacy fires, with the modern fires, again, like I said, we're using the tactics from the book that was made 60 years ago. They're saying now with our changing tactics, they say you have to soften the target, and they also call it hitting it hard from the yard. And these are all studies. If you guys haven't looked at them, go into UL or NIST. They've been doing studies the last year, and they have been releasing these studies all summer long, about 1 every 2 weeks. And they're really saying you have to, and that's when I get back on shift, I'm going to demand from my battalion, that first engine arrives, you better have a hose line pulled and charged and water flowing on the fire in 60 seconds or less. If you don't, I'm going to be asking you why. Because with occupied buildings, if anybody's going to have a chance of survival, you're going to have to cool the fire. And with the speed that these fires take off and light up, if you arrive and that fire's in the incipient phase and hasn't reached flashover yet, you have to do something to retard that fire growth. So they're saying you have to apply water as quickly as possible. And I know you guys are like us, you go on YouTube and you watch videos and you watch that little timer click. You see these people arriving. And sometimes it takes them 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to even start flowing water. Yeah.
I'm not a Stu Rose fan. I would choose John Middendorf in a fight any day. But one thing he did talk about that people bought off on for a lot of reasons was transitional fire attack.
Mm-hmm.
And if we use transitional fire attack for exactly what you're saying and not an excuse to stay outside the whole time,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a wonderful option.
Exactly.
And
for
it makes
those,
things faster and safer.
yeah, for those guys at 63, we're talking about Middendorf and his use of transitional fire attack, and that's basically.
Well, that's Stu Rose. Middendorf is, he's the real firefighter, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but Middendorf was a big proponent of transitional fire attack, and how big does a fire get in a minute? It doubles in size. So when you see these guys that don't get water flowing until 4, 5, 6 minutes after arrival, they go from a small fire to a big fire. And if you have occupants, there's no way they're going to survive. And part of these UL studies say fire application from the exterior, from a straight stream, you can't use a fog. With a straight stream, they proved in their studies the straight stream does not push fire. But they also said that it decreases the temperature inside the building in every room, vast amounts. You have to look at the study. So if you have an occupant 2, 3 rooms away from the fire that's burning, water application gives them a much better chance of survival, even downstream of the fire, yeah.
You might also want to explain that you can actually use a straight stream with a combination tip.
Yeah, you can
So
do a
you
straight
don't have to have
stream.
a solid stream tip on there to
Yeah,
do that.
you don't need to have a smooth bore for a straight stream. And a lot of it is the application and the testing that they did with the New York Fire Department, and they were using a smooth bore stream, but they found that if a guy rotated his smooth bore stream, that had the same effect as a fog nozzle. and that would push fire. So when you apply this stream, straight stream, you need to hold it still. Direct it up at the ceiling of the room that's on fire, and turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. Do whatever you can to control that fire. And what are you doing in a transitional fire attack?
Find yourself time.
You're buying yourself time, cooling the whole, you're cooling the whole structure, but you're buying yourself time to get people in place to do things the correct way.
You're managing your risk, bottom line.
Exactly, managing your risk. Okay, so if we know we have people in there, let's get that water application to cool that temperature for them, and so that we can maybe do VES, get a quick primary search while we're controlling that fire. And because the best thing may not be quick ventilation. You know, maybe if we can cool that fire down and VES that room, that might be what we choose to do. But every fire is different, and you have to make calculated decisions that make sense. Okay.
I know you wanna move on, that's good, but I think we should compliment District 6 crews. And I think the county in that transitional, it's funny to watch this UL study come out in 2013.
Yeah.
And we've been doing transitional attacks for whatever reasons for as long as I've been here.
Yeah.
Maybe half that.
Yeah.
34 years.
Yeah. Transitional attack has been something that our county has used quite a bit. And maybe sometimes the guys didn't even know what they were doing. Maybe sometimes we did. But it has to be, you know, from here on out, it has to be done.
With the advent of 2 in, 2 out, you know, whereas it used to be the first crew grabbed a hose and went running into the building, we had to do something to buy time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And transitional was basically, hey, there's fire coming out of that window, well, let's put that out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So did I answer your question? Yeah. Okay. So, So, 360, call the play, vent, choose your vent options. Make sure that our vent options are adequate. If we choose vertical, what should you see the smoke do? Smoke should lift. And sometimes, why do you see truck crews cut 3, 4, 5 holes? If you cut one,
Wasn't enough.
And how do you usually know if one vent hole is enough?
They're in the
You
building.
got heavy black pressurized smoke coming out of that hole. Why isn't it enough?
Because it's pressurized still.
It's pressurized,
Hasn't
so you
reburning.
cut one more heavy pressurized black smoke. Is it enough? You cut 3. Next thing you know, poof, all 3 light off, smoke goes away. Is that good enough? Yeah, get off the roof. But I mean, does that make sense?
Because it went to the free burn.
That's how you know. That's why sometimes I love watching the LA City truck crews are on top of a commercial building, and they're cutting, and they're cutting, and they're cutting. They start 8 by 8. The next thing you know, it's 8 by 16. Next thing you know, it's 8 by 24, and it's 8 by 32, and they just keep cutting. And they're cutting, and just this ugly black smoke is come belching out. And why do they keep cutting? They keep cutting because they haven't transitioned that fire. And as soon as they do, then you see they're scrambling, they're getting off the roof. Okay. We'll watch a couple videos about that too. But so structure fire, we move down to attic. Do we vent attic fires? No. Okay, no. Remember, closed box. And we fight attic fires in this order: from below, from above, and from the side. 1, 2, 3. If you get to a fire and somebody says, we're gonna do a gable end cut, no, you're not. Because I remember when gable end cuts came out, it was this, this is so freaking cool. And the guy started gable end cutting everything. How long does a gable end cut take to cut?
Too long.
For freaking ever, exactly. Plus, is it a highly hazardous situation? You got a guy hanging off the side of a ladder reaching out with a chainsaw? Yeah.
Now you got flame blowing on
I guarantee you that I can get inside the front door, pop a small hole and start applying water 10 minutes before they can apply water with a gable line cut. Okay? So if the attic is closed, small hole, short bursts of water application. Straight stream or fog?
Fog.
Straight stream.
Straight, just talk about that.
What's the main cause of attic fire explosions?
Oh, feeding
Remember
it.
the stream that pushes air?
Yeah, feeding it.
Oh.
Combo.
So if you make a small hole and you're doing this fog stream up in there, what are you bringing with it?
Air.
Air.
Makes sense.
I thought I was converting it to steam.
You are, and I would go a 30-degree fog, but does everybody know what penciling is? Short burst.
Short burst and hitting the ceiling.
Right.
Short burst. But what causes attic explosions? Guys that turn it on and leave it on.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
You understand?
sure.
You just bring a lot of air
Yeah,
with
you're
it.
just short bursts.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a turn, have a turn.
Exactly. So if the box becomes open, and attic fires always open themselves, so we don't need a truck company up there helping it open. In Vancouver, Clark County, the attic fires always vent themselves sooner or later. Then we need to bring down large sections of ceiling, go straight stream and direct attack. Okay, but both of those are done from below. And Vancouver very soon will have SOPs that drive everything that we do. Okay, and the SOP will say that you go in this order. And when you write an SOP, you write it to handle 80% of your fires. What are the other 20%? The other 20% are the oddball fires that you go to where the work from below doesn't work. We had this attic fire out in Station 4's area just a couple weeks ago. You had the old house that had been remodeled 27 times, and it had one flat roof and then another roof above it. You know, and so we're trying to use our method here, but guys are rubbish hooking, they're hitting plywood. So now we're into the 20%. Now you gotta make a decision. So we got crews on the roof with piercing nozzles, just started going attacking it from above, and that worked. Okay, so 80% of attic fires will be handled following that. If you get into an oddball fire, that's why we pay captains and battalion chiefs to make decisions. Okay, I'm in an oddball fire, this is wrong, but a red flag comes up with that. Okay. Basement fires, you attack them from outside. You knock them down, and then you go down the chimney. Okay? And part of their basement fire study, UL, they did with New York. And the nerd I listened to in Denver, he's the one that's on some of these videos talking. I listened to him live in Denver, and he said they had thermocouples all over the house. They were doing basement fire study, and he said he had 30 FDNY battalion chiefs looking over his shoulder when they were doing this study, because they always said, hey, FDNY said, you're just gonna have to power down the stairs. You gotta go through the heat to get low, where the cool area is, and then you fight the fire from the same level. And they're saying, well, what if you apply water from the exterior? And so, no, that ain't gonna work, son, that ain't gonna work. So they did these studies, and all these guys were looking at them, and all the FDNY chiefs walked away and said, oh, shit. Okay. We had that fire, District 6 fire, last year. Was it Anderson?
What was it?
I mean, it worked pretty darn well, just knocking that fire down from the exterior. And then once we got it knocked down, we put a fan on the Charlie side. They expelled the smoke. It worked really good. Okay.
So did you vent that? Was that like a window cut and a floor cut? Or
No,
just out the
we
window?
knocked the fire down from the hottest, blackest window. I think it was on the Alpha Delta corner.
Okay.
That was the hottest, blackest window. We applied water, knocked the fire down, set that fan up, and then when we turned the fan on, the smoke, what was left of the smoke went out that same window.
Oh, so it was big enough.
Yeah, it was big enough.
Right.
Okay.
There you
you know, falling balls thrown around. I mean, they're, you know, everybody's usually pretty good at those. Just start flowing water. All right. Any questions at all you want to ask about any of this?
Do you ever get into a situation where, I mean, even the 20% rules, not, or the 20% the oddballs, where
Oh,
you're
yeah.
really struggling?
Yeah.
Balloon frame, just different situations?
Balloon frames, yeah, and actually balloon frames send a lot of people for a loop these days, and why is that?
Can't find it.
Because we don't have very many. Okay, we don't have very many anymore, and that's, when I started, you know, and Vancouver was very small back then, just 3 stations. And when we had fires downtown, they were all balloon frame houses. And we were pretty good at them back then, but that's because all the old farts that were there, that they'd grown up cutting their teeth on balloon frame house fires, you know. And a balloon frame house fire is not unlike a chimney fire. I remember in the old days, we always went up on the roof and we stuck the booster line down the nozzle, or down the chimney. And then somebody said, hey, I wonder if you just open up the firebox and threw a cup of water in there, what would happen? And the water turns into steam, goes up this shaft, and guess what, fires out. So that's what we started doing with balloon frame houses. I remember the NCO club fire down on Officers Row. We fought fire in that building for 3 hours. 3 hours. We chased it around from room to room. We'd put one room out, and then we'd move down the hallway. And we're kicking the shit out of the fire there, and you look around, and the fire is coming out right behind you where you've just been. So we just took chainsaws. We ran down the length of the walls, cut about a 12-inch swath, and then we took the nozzle. Every stud space, and that's what finally put that fire out. So the great thing about ticks these days is that you can walk around the exterior of a balloon frame house. Oh, fire's right here. 12-foot or 12-inch hole, fire's out. Because it's just like a chimney. Because those fires like to go up to the attic. They like to go up that shaft, so squirt some water up there, turns to steam, goes right in the attic, puts the fire out.
Back before they didn't say anything about fire blocking?
Exactly, yeah. And that was the tough part downtown, is you know, sometimes you have some of those 2.5, 3-story balloon frame. So you have 40 feet of shaft, and the fire started on the ground floor and it went right to the attic right now. And that's what my old Patangi Vern Oder, and I remember him saying, the first crew always goes to the attic of a balloon frame house. Because if the fire is not there already, it's coming there. And then the second crew went and attacked the room that was on fire. So. All right, let's start with very scary flashover. I love what some of these YouTube videos are called.
Tell Scott that down in the message box he'll have a URL, just click the URL.
Okay, Scott, down in the message box you'll have a URL that will be the video that we're watching.
Okay, so I would say we're not gonna be able to see it from here.
You will.
They just have to click on it
Far
once
away.
it's in the box.
So down in the message box, you can just click on that, and then you'll be able to watch the video that we're watching.
Do they see it at the same time we do, or
Yeah.
they're running it separate?
They'll see it at the same time.
Okay.
It's very scary flashover.
Yes.
Hey, Brian, yeah.
That's up top. Do you guys have it up yet?
Now,
Okay, he's copying it to you and sending it to you.
is it gonna be in the chat box?
It'll
Yeah.
be,
Yes.
yes, the chat box. Okay, you just sent it to you, you guys have it?
Yeah, we got it.
So Brian.
Okay, so let's just pause it here for a second. So again, from the windshield of the rig tell me, is the box open or closed, and what phase of fire are we in?
Closed and
Wow.
Tell them
Brian says to turn your guys' volume down.
although we do like the music, because there's nothing wrong with the low rate.
Actually, just tell them they'll be on mute for a while.
He's gonna put you on mute for a while. Closed box, incipient phase fire.
Correct.
Okay?
It's struggling for oxygen.
Struggling for oxygen. So have any red flags come up?
Big time.
Yes, there have. It's closed box, incipient phase. We have to vent this fire before we go in. Okay? Remember the concept of coordinated fire attack. Is I'm gonna vent and have hose lines charged ready to go to attack the fire at the same time. Okay? Go ahead and run it. Remember, we should never be surprised with fire science.
I like that he's standing up too.
Does he have a bottle?
Yeah, he had a bottle. I had a mask.
So front door is open, that's their only vent hole. So where's the fire trying to come?
Out the front door.
To him. Okay.
Yeah.
And now they take out the plate glass window. And I want you to notice that the hose line they have is not charged. Should they be surprised that the fire came to them?
Well,
That's what they're trying to do. I don't know what they're trying to do.
Okay? Notice the frantic charge of the line.
It's the down.
Okay?
I think we should call them right here.
Or you want water?
Jeez Louise. We're gonna fire now.
Did they change the conditions of that fire?
yes, they helped considerably.
Okay, I mean,
You trying to burn it down?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, how much more are there? Yeah, this is next to us.
so I guess my point is that, go ahead and pause it. What'd they do? They transitioned the fire from incipient to free burning, which really, that's not bad. It's because that's what we're trying to do. But the coordinated fire attack part of actually having hose lines in place with an engine company ready to go escaped them. Okay, and when you look at this video, you'll see the notes. It's actually a basement fire. Okay, so they probably could have taken a couple of basement windows out to get that fire to transition and attack the fire from there instead of drawing the fire up the stairs like we're talking about. Instead of drawing the fire up the stairs and, you know, through the front door.
This is one of those who knows. I mean, I don't even know if a 360 was done to determine whether there was a.
Exactly. And again, that's in the 360, we're trying to read windows, and you're looking for that hottest, blackest window. That's where the seat of the fire is. Okay. All right, let's go.
The other thing too is why did they come to the front door, break the window from the inside with an uncharged? I mean, why wouldn't you just take the window from the outside and charge it?
You're asking very good questions. You're asking very good questions.
It'd be a hero on the outside.
We scroll down a little bit.
It's not a problem.
You don't want to get glasses later.
No, you don't get this.
Okay, click on that one.
Going inside.
It could be dangerous, so you step on it.
Okay, 63, they're gonna send you another one.
This one happens in jail.
Hey, What happens in jail stays in jail.
Until you tell us about it.
So you get home.
Okay, they sent you a new one.
That's right.
Gotta get past the ad.
That doesn't look anything like me.
Harry Potter's in jail.
Oh, it's,
Skip ad, there we go. All right, now, again, I want you to read the windows on this. And tell me where you think the fire is. Open box or closed, and simply in a free burning phase fire. He's excited and forgets the current siren. Come on, little boy. Okay, read the windows.
Closed box.
Closed box.
Second story.
Where's the fire?
Second story.
Where's it closed? Coming out of that vent stop?
You see, the first story windows are cloudy, and the second story windows aren't.
These fires are clear, or these windows are clear. All those windows are clear. This fire starts right here around the fireplace. It's probably coming up from a wood stove.
Right.
The fire is right here in the attic space above them. Okay? Do we vent attic fires? No. It's a closed box. We're gonna use indirect attack, small hole, that fire's out. Okay? When you vertically vent, you louver and then you punch the ceiling out. Why do you punch the ceiling out?
So the smoke can go
To
up.
let the fire and smoke out. Okay? Does everybody understand that concept? All right, so let's just.
Oh, I wondered why.
See, all these windows are clear. Punch the ceiling out. What's the window below show?
Clear up the under there.
Some gnarly looking smoke coming out of
First
it.
problem.
Is that a cheap one?
Yeah. That is a problem.
Okay, he's fixing that problem.
More importantly, you didn't have an air pack on.
Probably classroom.
So,
Water.
I mean, you watch the whole thing. They burn this building down. And the thing, if you watch the video closely, how much hose they had in the front,
Yeah.
you see all the hoses inside. They have so much hose they're in the back of the building, looking for the fire. When I think if they did a walk around and read windows, they'd understand the fire was right inside the front door. I really do think it's never a bad idea when you do have smoke showing from an attic, and even if the fire originated on the floor that you're on, it's never a bad idea to walk in the front door and pop a hole, just to see what's above you. Okay? And I always walk about every 10 feet, pop a hole, just because I want to know what's above me as I'm going into a building. Okay? I think you pop a hole right inside this front door, apply a couple of squirts of water, this fire's out. Okay? So, I just think these guys learned a tactic. They probably went to a ventilation class and they said cut a hole, louver it, and punch the ceiling out. But they just don't understand why they're doing what they're doing here. Okay? Okay. Let's type in positive pressure ventilation gone bad.
Very descriptive.
It is.
We're gonna get a lot of hits on this one, I guess.
Quick. That was a dude's name.
Okay, that
I
one.
said something else. Quick.
Getting faster at this, huh?
What's that?
So I'm getting faster at this, huh?
Yeah. Okay, they just sent you a new one, 63.
They're still muted.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Okay, so this is not a room contents fire, this is a structure fire. Okay? Now I want you to notice when they open the front door, they get a lot of smoke production from the front door. Okay? And then when he does turn the fan in, the smoke does not disappear. It just intensifies coming out the front door. So, and then it flashes on. Okay? And again, this is a scenario where I think there's 4 or 5 guys inside the building, deep in the building, when the fan gets turned in. And you'll see what happens when they come out. Okay, front door opens and you see the heavy smoke from the front door. Okay? Open or close box. They're crawling into products of combustion without ventilation. These are red flags. Or they should be. Here comes Cletus with the fan. How many times have you seen this happen in Clark County? People already in the building and the fan starts up. Instantaneous reaction.
Yeah, there's a fan on the way.
See him coming out smoking?
Like the gears burn off. Yeah, there's one guy in there. We're
Transition to fire.
There he is. There's two.
Evacuated.
There's three. 4. Pause that one.
You know, you wonder if they even do a post-incident on these things.
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, if they hadn't had people in the building, and they take a window out, and they open the door and turn the fan in, and the smoke comes out, again, what's that tell us?
Not big enough.
Need a bigger hole.
Need a bigger hole. But if we would have waited that 60 to 90 seconds, guess what?
No.
Then we just reach up and close the door again, and that doesn't happen. Okay? But you never turn a fan into a building with people inside. Okay? Hit escape on that. There's one more I want to show you that deals with that. It's that one right there. It's the same exact scenario. These guys are at a structure fire with multiple openings, and they turn the fan into the building. 63, he's sending the link to this one. You guys got that one?
They're probably muted.
Fell asleep.
Yeah.
All right, so the fan has just been set in the front door. Count how many guys come out of this building. And kick the fan out of the way, by the way. There's 1, 2. There's 3.
How many of them don't use their chin straps?
That's 4. 5.
Either.
There's 6 laying on the front porch.
A little bit over.
It's amazing we don't kill more of us.
Well, it looks like.
Have I made my point with fans? Okay. You go up. Do this one right here.
And
All right, 63, they're sending you another one.
sex addict. Thanks for letting me share.
How could you be a sex addict? You don't even have sex.
Skip that one.
Huh?
Run your mouse up here. Let's keep going. Keep going. So again, this is a closed box.
Go to that.
And cold.
Keep going.
Cold box.
Right about there. Remember what I said about reading windows? Tell me what the windows in this house tell you. Closed box, probably fire incipient phase, or at least ventilation controlled state. Is it?
looks like that, didn't it?
But if you didn't do a 360 on this house, you're just gonna attack the fire from there. Just check out what the back of this house looks like when this guy gets around there. That's the front door.
Okay, that wasn't quite.
It's like something's happening in the backyard.
I wouldn't quite.
Tell me what the color of the windows indicate.
There's fire behind that one right there.
Yeah.
Every one of those windows is black. This is a structure fire. It's interesting to watch this fire down below. It is in conflict with this open window up above. The flow path, it's trying to figure out what it wants to do as you watch this. The fire will shoot out the window, then it sucks back in. It's interesting fire behavior to watch because this window right above it is open. So the fire and smoke are trying to figure out which way it wants to go.
Interesting.
Isn't that cool?
So that fire in that one room's free burning, right?
Yeah.
So don't let this one fool you. This is not a room and contents fire. It's just one room that is transitioned, but the rest of the structure has not.
I think a hose line back there would be a great idea.
Well, it would be a very good idea, and having one that is charged would be a second. So this guy takes out these windows that are black.
He's just doing his part to help out.
Just doing his part to help out. And he gets instant heavy smoke production from those windows. Which they're black, he should have known that that was gonna happen.
Here it comes.
And this is just like the other one, the very first one we watched. Here comes a guy with the hose line that is not charged yet.
Man, it's snowy out here.
Whoa.
There I am.
No sweating, we got a fire to put out.
Oh,
Okay,
Three Stooges movie.
did they transition the fire, didn't they?
Yes,
Yeah.
quite nicely.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some bigger lines.
Gotta need a bigger boat.
Hey, can I get another hose back here?
So is the type of ventilation that he did bad? He's horizontally vented the fire. So when we talk about this, structure fire, or excuse me, is this room and contents? No, PPV fan is out. Next is vertical. You gonna cut a hole in a roof covered with snow? So what's my next choice?
Horizontal.
Horizontal. So he did not choose the wrong way to ventilate, but the coordinated attack part.
Plus, it was already ventilated in two windows, it just couldn't decide, because of all the positive pressure in the building, which one to come out.
Exactly.
Oh, don't worry, you guys, the snow will put it out.
yeah, but like you're saying, if he knocks that, they hit that fire first, and then they knock those windows out, fire's out,
Exactly.
without burning up all the stuff that's upstairs.
So, but the point I wanted to make was this predictable, what happened? Fire science tells us that's gonna happen. Make a hole, fire's gonna come there. You're gonna transition the fire, and you shouldn't be surprised that that happened. And I think this guy was.
They're over there in a
Obviously.
snowball fight.
They still don't have water on it.
Well, they're playing in the snow, right?
Oh, okay.
They're gonna take pictures, stand around.
You wanna go ahead and hit pause? Just turn the lights on just for a second. So, the old fire bell curve, you know, incipient phase, fire takes off, and it reaches this phase right here. That's flashover, we got free burning, and then we have decay. All right? That's what the bell curve looked like with the legacy time period. All right? Single pane windows, they usually almost always broke out. So the fire could transition this way on its own, nice and easy. The new bell curve that they're showing out there is this. Okay? This is incipient. We go through the process, we get to here, free burn, double pane windows. They don't always break out. So we get here, the fire goes up, flashes over, but then it runs out of oxygen. And it goes into what's called the first decay phase. Or people are calling this ventilation limited fires. Okay? All right, this decay phase is different than this one. Ooh. You guys hear that? Echoed off that wall. Dude. It's getting close to lunchtime. All right? So, a lot of the fires that we're arriving to are right in here. This is the fire where you see heavy smoke pushing out of everywhere, all over the building. And we've got to understand that as soon as we open a window or open a door, these fires take off. Boom, they just explode. All right? And it's all because the windows didn't let go. All right? How might this be different than this decay phase?
That one has oxygen, but nothing to burn. That one has plenty to burn, but no oxygen.
Pretty close. Remember this one? You guys remember the term thermally balanced? This room over here in this decay phase is still what we would call thermally balanced. It's hot at the top, cool at the bottom. It just ran out of fuel or oxygen. This decay phase, this is the fire that is cooked for hours. And there's no thermal balance in this one. It's hot at the top, hot at the bottom, probably the same temperature. You know, this one could be 2,000 degrees at the ceiling and 2,000 degrees at the floor. This is the fire that if you guys have ever been to it, because they're very rare, you get to it. And I remember the ones that I've been to where you walk into the room, the smoke is cool, you vent all the smoke out, and there is not a recognizable piece of furniture in the room. All you see are springs from the couch laying there in a pile, maybe the TV tube sitting in the corner. I mean, it is cooked and everything is gone. This first decay phase is not that way. Everything is still intact. It's just kind of just boiling, waiting for oxygen to get there. And we show up and open up a door and poof, takes off. So they're two different decay phases. All right, so when you start talking about this old bell curve, this is what they're saying it looks like today with the modern buildings. They take off so fast and they burn so hot that they a lot of times put themselves out or get into a ventilation controlled state because the oxygen disappears like that. All right, and we have to be very careful with those. All right, let's go back. Type in Memphis house fire. And we'll talk about a fire that is in a ventilation controlled state right there at the top. They'll send this one to you 63. Now I show this one to our people a lot and I say, okay, is this box open or closed? And they say, well, the front door's open, so it's open. Is that an open box? No. It's partially open. Okay. But when you see smoke like this, that is a closed box. Okay. Fire's in the incipient phase, or we could call this a ventilated controlled fire. Okay. And there's really no difference between ventilation controlled and incipient phase. They're kind of both the same thing. All right. They're both inside of a closed box. All this fire is waiting for is enough oxygen to light off and take off on you. So go ahead and run it.
This is really cool. Hey, it's right here. Right here. Yeah, this house is great.
Changing smoke.
Why is that smoke brown and that smoke's white?
It's got some air? I'm guessing.
The door's open, the windows are still
Well,
sealed.
yeah,
So
is
that-
it-
Brown-
White smoke is structure and dark smoke is material?
Brown smoke is untreated wood products.
Reading the smoke.
Like probably the floor of the basement, or the ceiling of the basement.
When you watch Dodson's reading smoke class, this is a good indication that this room is probably your room of origin. The farther you get away from the room of origin, because these are the same exact smoke conditions, but the farther you get away from the room of origin, the more basically water vapor that the smoke picks up. Okay? And this, we need to understand that this smoke is just as deadly as this smoke, but it's just farther away from the seat of the fire. It's got more water vapor in it, so it makes it look that color. But the closer you get, the water vapor goes away and the smoke turns this color. So if you haven't watched Dodson's reading smoke class, just type it in on YouTube. It's a very good class. It really helps you understand things, because there's a lot of people will say, well, it's the dark black smoke that's bad. White smoke's okay. That's nasty stuff.
That we have a new boat.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and run.
I think that's, call that sachet. I think I was
What's the first thing they should do?
360.
Stop the wheel.
Close the front door,
Oh,
then
wow.
do it 360.
Close the door.
Thanks for leaving me a good shot.
That's lightning. We went to a fire conference years ago, me and Scott Blank, that's our guys, and we had the name tag on it. Cletus and Zebul and Elijah. People are looking at us like, where are you guys from?
We're from Kentucky.
Okanagan County.
Look at the work.
But we make this mistake a lot.
That's
We
right.
leave those front doors open. While you're getting set up, you should just close that door. Would you use a fan on that? That's not a room content fire.
Is that a real ladder?
It's a little guy ladder.
Little giant. Costco style. Gungan style?
Go ahead and pause that. This video never really changes. They apply water from the Charlie side, and you can tell the brown smoke turns into steam. But this fire never really changes. So I don't think it's a bad tactic. Like I said, we want that first in crew to get there and get water on the fire, 60 seconds or less. But let's close that door while we're waiting for a chance to get the truck on the roof or another engine on the roof. And let's apply water to keep that fire growth down. And that, closing that door gives us time to get set up, take that deep breath. All right? Get out of that and type in inside the command post. Have you guys ever watched these San Bernardino? They're really good. I think I'd like to get our department to be like San Bernardino. They do very well on fires. And when you get to listen to their talk on the radio, they're pretty squared away. You can tell. Let's click on that one. And I like how this lines up. It says the need to perform coordinated vertical ventilation. Coordinated. I like when they say that word. That means that we're doing it at the same time that the engine company is getting ready to go inside. Go ahead and run that one. Tell me, open box or closed, and what phase of fire are we in?
You're gonna be a little bit of delay, more show.
Yeah, right over there.
I just love that, somebody's waving you down, or call them. Closed box.
Closed box.
All units, Battalion 603 is on scene, establishing Sierra Way Command. Got a single-family dwelling, single-story wood frame sited. We've got a well-involved structure fire here. It's in the smoldering phase. Looks like it's up in the attic. We've got no visible flame. We get that dark, ugly smoke. Let's have engine 221 come on in, bring your own supply line in. I'll have you finish up the
Pause it just for a second.
360. We do have an exposure to...
Just one thing that you can tell real quick when you arrive at fires from the Alpha side, when you can tell that you have fire blowing out a window on the back, it's smoke velocity, okay? You'll notice that the smoke's moving faster in the back of the building than it is up front. So that's a real quick indicator from the front yard that I have fire blowing out of a couple of windows in the back. So when he runs this again, just look at that velocity of that smoke. Plus it's not as much smoke, so it means it's burning clean. So whatever's moving back there is probably pretty good fire blowing out that window.
To the Charlie Delta side, and kind of worried
See how
about
it's
that.
moving faster? That's usually a good indicator that I have fire blowing out
Wait,
windows in the
truck
back.
one, when you guys come on in, Matt, let's get this thing fully laddered and give me a good viewpoint. We definitely need vertical ventilation at this point if we're gonna get in there.
How many square feet on that house?
Pretty tiny.
800.
How many vent holes?
One.
Copy, 230 stage, all units from Sierra Way Command.
They cut
We got an electrical problem again, the entire drop is being involved. 221, did you copy that, engine 221?
221 copies, 221 copies. 221 pulled just a little bit further forward, on you out from underneath that electrical hazard. Right there works.
230, come on in, Mike, you're gonna be, 230, come on in. I'm going to have you assigned, teamed up with Fire Attack. We'll get that standby set up, and I'll use Rick somewhere else. .221, engine 221. Jeff, you're going to be Fire Attack, but let me know what we have with that electrical issue there on the Delta side of that fire.
The other thing that's cool here is that Taji's played with these guys enough that he knows them by name.
All units from IC. The command post is located on Sierra Way. That'll be the A side of the fire.
IC for Fire Attack.
Go ahead.
He's doing a 360, isn't he?
Okay, as far as electrical hazard, we do have a service drop. It is down. It's on the ground on the Alpha Delta corner. There is nothing else at this point in time as far as that electrical hazard is concerned. We do have some access as far as our 360 is concerned. I got just about all the way around the structure. Well involved, C Charlie side of the structure. Well involved, C Charlie.
I copy that. Looks like it's venting out of the D side right now. And what about that exposure problem? Is that a no big deal there?
I can only view it right now from the Bravo side of the structure. It does not be involved only in the front structure at this point in time. We can be in the offensive mode. We can be in the offensive mode.
I copy that. All units on the CRWA incident, we are in the offensive mode. Break truck 1, ETA to the roof. Copy that. Mascus and Arvizo, stand by. Break truck 1, ETA to the roof.
Ready to go.
Okay, do me a favor, Matt. Let's coordinate this with fire attack. That's kind of some ugly stuff. Let's just make sure we get a good hole so it makes it easy for their entry.
That's good to hear.
Fire attack copy. Break I for fire attack Mascus and Arvizo. Mascus and Arvizo are going to be in the
I copy that. Mascus and Arvizo. All units, keep an eye on the fire. The fire conditions are changing drastically right now.
Not feeling good about that.
Fire attack, did you copy that?
Takes a very confident truck crew. So if you're not confident, what's our next method of ventilation?
222, come on in, you'll be assigned to rig.
Shouldn't be confident and confident.
Fire attack from IC, did you copy the changing conditions there?
fire attack copy.
Wise words from the back row.
Oh my God, we got a pretty good exposure point.
Hey, truck 1. Matt, are we okay? Fire attack from IC. You got an exposure, a tree that's going up on the Charlie side. Can you catch that?
Fire attack copy. We're having a little access problem to the rear of the structure. Just give us here just a second. We're going to make access.
Copy that. We don't have anybody inside yet, correct?
That's negative. We don't have anybody inside. Hold on there. We're going to go ahead and start our interior attack.
I copy that. Break 224, come on in. I want you to coordinate with fire attack. I don't have any confirmation whether we've got people in or out. And after that, you'll do a primary search.
Copy that. 231 stage.
He's good production out of
Copy,
that
231
hole.
stage. Truck 1, I see.
I see truck 1. Real good. 3 holes. Looking good right now. They're making good headway up there.
Yeah, that thing's got some heat in it.
I see for fire attack.
Go for IC.
Okay, I got a real good look at the C Charlie side of the structure. We do have just a little involvement in those trees, and the entire C Charlie side of the building is pretty well involved in fire. We're getting knocked down from the exterior.
I copy that, Jeff. I don't know if you copied. I got 4s coming in. They're going to hook up with you. We need to get a primary search going. I have no idea whether, we've got any confirmation of people out. Copy that.
I see the fire attack.
Go ahead.
We've gone ahead and transitioned from exterior use of lines, and we have made access on the A Adams side of the structure.
Copy. So you are getting ready. You've made entry?
Affirmative. We're just making entry now.
You wanna?
I copy that. Yeah, we're getting some real good changing conditions.
So I just, I think very good radio communication. I think everybody knew exactly what was going on. They made sure that the attack was coordinated. And, I've read a lot about San Bernardino. They're big time vertical ventilation department. And so I think they put people in their positions that we maybe would not, just because I think that's what they do all the time. So I think they're very good at it. And You know, what age of construction is this house? It's old. It's an old one, so I mean, it's got a good roof, probably a 20-minute roof. Would they do that on a house in Clark County? Probably not. You know?
Is that house gonna be bulldozed anyway?
Yeah, so, so just kind of keep that in mind. Escape. All right, let's go down the ways.
Sorry, Rick, I gotta go, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Let's go back up. Just type on that one. We're not gonna watch that one, but I wanna get to another one. Just go down a little further. Sorry, I'm not seeing it. Type on that one. So, okay, it's this one right here. Okay, same department, they got a apartment building fire. It's just this is a good video, and it shows them cutting multiple holes, and you'll see that they have fire exiting one window in an apartment. But this is a good video to show how if the ventilation is adequate or not. You know, if you cut one hole, should you still have smoke coming out the window? No, and that's what they cut one hole, they get good production out of that hole, but there's still smoke coming out of the window, so that's not adequate. And they cut a second hole, and then you see the smoke disappears going out that window. There, it's all directed up, and then the fire transitions as well. Then they start getting off the roof because they can tell that they don't need to cut anymore.
City of KCIC, start AMR and another medic unit. We have a medical aid here also. Highway truck 221, report to truck 224, this ventilation group.
Copy, ventilation from truck 221.
Hey, I'm gonna have you report to fire tech. Susan's gonna get the primary search.
Okay. Look at the production you got from that hole. But you can see how it's still coming out the window, so they know they need to cut another hole.
Sorry, units are covering fire tech, go ahead.
My two out is Miller and Moss. You want more company up here? This one apartment is fully involved.
You see how the fire transitions and the smoke goes away? That's your indicator when you see that. Not a lot of smoke. I'm in the free burning phase.
Okay, and then 223 is going to report to you under fire tech.
You can see it's not quite there. It's kind of going back and forth.
226 is search group, and they're conducting the primary search.
Ventilation from 221. Sorry, 221.
You see how that smoke quit coming out of the window?
You need utilities on here too.
Just like that.
City, KHIC on command. Make sure all second alarm units are responding on command.
Copy, as we did start you an AMR unit.
Copy, unit station.
You got AMR down there too? Nice. Is that post 51?
Okay, we can get out of that. So, you know, I hope that everything that I've said today makes sense to you, you know, and we just need to get better at fighting fires in this county. And I know when I say that, Vancouver #1 needs to. And I think as a department, we're making big steps down that road. I know, if we can secure funding, we've made the decision to go with the Blue Card program. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that or not. The Blue Card program is, I'm not gonna say it's ITAC. Okay. What Blue Card is, it's a system out of Phoenix developed by Alan Brunacini and his sons. And Blue Card is meant to be, it's a certification system just like Red Card is for wildland firefighters, but it's a certification for structural firefighters. Okay. We went up and watched Olympia, did a demonstration for us. Olympia and all the surrounding departments around Olympia have gone to Blue Card. Every one of them has tried ITAC and hated it. Every one of them has now gone to Blue Card and they love it. Okay? The city of Portland's thinking about going to Blue Card, and they made a presentation to our fire chief yesterday, and he likes it. If we can secure funding for it, then we're gonna go to it. And Blue Card it's a 50-hour online training course. After you're done with the online part, then you go through 3 days of intense simulator training. And after you become Blue Card certified, then everybody's talking the same way on the radio. It's very SOP based. No more park. You will level 1 or 2 stage.
Oh, back to the old.
Back to the old days. Level 1, level 2 staging. You don't, with Blue Card, you don't set up a RIT team until second alarm. You just go with standby teams. Okay? You have a fire attack crew, then you have what's called on deck. And on deck is your standby team. They're right outside the front door. Okay? And then there's somebody in staging. It's a 3 deep deployment model. So when you have a fire attack, then you'll have somebody that's on deck and then somebody's in staging. And you rotate through that in 12-minute intervals. It's big on air management. You know, Vancouver's air management policy right now is you work till your bell rings. That's not an air management policy. Okay? So you work hard for 12 minutes, you get rotated into staging. On deck moves up to fire attack. The crew that's in staging moves up to on deck. You rotate through that, and everybody talks on the radio the same way. And it's going to go a long way to solving Vancouver's problems of having 6 different departments. You know, that's because right now in Vancouver, it's Jobu beads. If you're unstationed downtown, I'm going to fight fire this way, and on A shift out in Battalion 2, they have the same exact fire, and they throw the beads out, and they're going to fight it a different way. It's very frustrating and it's dangerous. And if we make the decision to do this, we're gonna, I think, take a big step forward in trying to solidify how we fight fires in Vancouver. Because right now, nothing in Vancouver is SOP based. How I said attic fires, you must attack from below and attack from above and then attack from the side. There's nothing that holds our people to that. So you got a crazy battalion chief, he gets to attack an attic fire any old way he wants to. And we have that right now, and it's not a good thing. So once we get to be an SOP-based organization, then everybody must fight fires the same way. And that's a good thing. So I know that's what the direction we're heading. If we can secure funding for it, I think you guys will start hearing that very soon. Obviously, we go to that, you know, you guys run fires with us. You know, I think it would be our hope that you guys would come along with the same system. And I think if that happens, Clark County Fire and Rescue looks at it, District 3 looks at it. And boy, wouldn't it be nice to have a whole county that talks the same way on the radio?
It worked as a team.
It worked as a team, exactly. And if the Portland metro area does it, then everybody's talking on the radio the same way.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It is
You just talk crazy.
Who would be
No more, we're better than you.
Huh?
Who would be the chief then?
I don't know.
You're taking the fun out of it.
Yeah.
Boards do have meetings.
So
Yeah,
if
what
you're,
kind of meetings?
you know, if you wanna know what blue card is, just get in
on.
on the internet and type in bshifter.com, and you can type on the blue card system, and you can kind of get a rundown of what it is.
And we have, myself and Chief Johnson are going through it right now.
Yeah,
So we would look at the same thing.
I'm in chapter 5 or section 5.
Too busy.
Yeah, but I've gone through more than half of it. It's really interesting. It looks really good. The best part about it is that once you decide to go with blue card, you have to do intense training to maintain it. The thing that the city of Olympia does is their entire fire department every Thursday, once you go with the blue card system, you set up what's called a CTC, a command training center in your department at a station, or we might do it at District 5. Every Thursday, every department, or every rig in the department rotates through the CTC, and you go through a series of simulators, and the firefighters, officers, they all rotate through the different sections. You know, one time you're the first in officer, the second time you're the second in, so the other time you'll be the truck. And so you sit down at a computer and you look at the fire the way you see it. If you're on the Charlie side, this is what you see. If you're on the Alpha side, this is what you see. And you practice talking on the radio. You guys know what CAN reports are?
Pardon me, what?
A CAN report, conditions, actions, needs. So Alpha, this is command, give me a CAN report. And so if he asks you for that, it's what are your conditions? What are your actions at this time? And what are your needs? And so the Alpha side division commander would say, at this time, heavy fire, Alpha side, 2 crews fighting the fire, no needs at this time. Instead of saying, Alpha, what do you got? And then you hear this guy talk for like a minute and a half, saying the sky's blue, you know, I can see the moon, I got some weeds up here up front, you know, conditions, actions, needs, tell us what you have. Very short, precise, you know. Describe smoke the same way. There's 3 ways to describe smoke: light, moderate, okay. Alpha side's got heavy smoke condition. Nothing else, you know. So I think it's going to be good stuff. If you're interested in seeing what it is, get on there and look. And I think it'll go away to help this county get on the same page with fighting fires the same way. And I know that's one thing, especially for our 2 departments. It's very rare that we go to a house fire that not one of your crews is there, or several. And it's also very rare that you guys have a fire that 1 or 2 of our crews are not there. Right. And you'll always, you know, you guys should always see one of our battalion chiefs at one of your fires. And likewise, we see your battalion chiefs at ours. And so we've got to learn how to get on the same page and work together and, you know, help each other out. So I think this will go a long way in helping that.
What kind of
So-
cost are we looking at, Rick? I mean, for you guys, obviously, it's probably quite a bit more, because manpower, hours, training.
It's $385 for the initial 50-hour online thing, and then I don't know
Yeah.
how much they charge for the
CTC. And that's what I think we're kind of hoping that Vancouver sets up a CTC that all you guys can rotate through.
This is just for officers, or is this for the rank and file as well?
We'll probably start out with officers.
I know what Vancouver's going to do is we'll probably give our officers 3 to 4 months to finish the online part. And we would really hope that you would sit down as a crew and go through it together. You know, so that way it's assigned to the officer, but, you know, if the crew sits down with them and you spend an hour or 2 a day going through that training, you can do it as a crew. And I think that would be very good for, especially younger guys that are right out of class and want to learn how to be an officer and, you know, go through the training as well.
So initially, just the hard bars do it, and then the actors will follow suit, or?
That's the way Vancouver's gonna do it, so. But again, we're hoping District 5 is gonna maybe help us out with it, so.
Cool.
But you guys got any questions or anything on anything we covered today? And I want you to understand that, you guys know just as much as I do. It's just all putting it in order and understanding what you're doing you know, as a department, and you guys should sit down, do simulators together and talk about this stuff and ask yourself those questions. Is the box open or closed? What phase of fire are we in? How are we gonna vent this? You know, how, we'll make sure it's coordinated, you know, so. But, thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick. So, yeah, when we go on fires with you, we'll be hearing a lot about the box.
Yes.
Those guys have any questions?
Yeah, what's Willie Thompson doing?
63, have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
All right, take it easy.
All right, see ya.